I just want y'all to know I'm hungover, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and let you know. Your boy is hungover. Yesterday was my birthday, okay? And I champagned it down, okay? I champagned it all the way down. All the way down, okay? All the way down. So we're gonna push through, okay? And we're gonna make it do what it do. But baby, let me tell you something. I'm trying to drink this little liquid hydration drink right here. Woo! Okay. Now, we're going to talk about Love and Marriage DC and probably one of the most confusing I cheated stories I've ever heard. Okay. So we're going to get into that. But before we do that, of course, let us know where you're watching from down to the chatterization. And thank you for all the birthday love. You know what I'm saying? I see we got Texas in the building, baby. I see we got South Africa in the building. Yes, go on ahead and hit that like button for me so we can get this video popping, y'all. We got Belize in the building. Yes, I had actually heard about Winter's song earlier this week, and I was able to hear a snippet of the song before it came out. So excited for her. Who else we got in the building, y'all? We got St. Louis, Tulsa, Oklahoma, Dallas, Texas. Thank you, boo. I appreciate all the birthday love. Y'all know that. Duncanville, I see you. Orlando. Hey, Alabama in the building. Bowie, Maryland. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for the birthday wishes. I appreciate that. So let's get into this chatterization about Love and Marriage DC season 1 finale. Okay. Now, as you guys know, we typically rate these episodes on a scale of 1 to 10. Okay. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm actually going to give this episode a 9. Coming off of the high, which was last week's episode, which was a 10, and then realizing that there was still one more episode to go, I kind of wondered what we were going to get. And I had almost forgotten in all of the mayhem that we had seen a preview in the original trailer about Ashley and Quick talking about some cheating situation that had happened. Okay. Now, it was interesting that we got drama from them, and we also got drama with, I mean, every couple on this show had a bit of drama in this episode. And this is what made this show so great, was that there is a lot that is still left unsaid. And I feel like we didn't really get the conclusion of what I felt like was somewhat of a major issue between Chris and Monique at the end of this episode. But we did get a very nice sort of finale with Ashley and Quick. But we'll talk about it as we go along. Okay. Now, so we've given it a 9. That's a solid 9. And then we know that the reunion is coming up next week. We will talk about that more in just a second. Okay. As soon as we get to the end of this recap. So to start things off, first of all, let me say this. And another reason why I'm not giving it a 10, and let me go ahead and be clear and direct, okay? Because I don't know if this is on. I don't know what the problem is, but I did not watch the episode last night because I was determined to do a marathon of X-Files last night for my birthday, and I did. But when I went to go watch the episode 11 Marriage DC today, when I tried to watch it on my YouTube TV, it wasn't there. When I tried to watch it on the Hulu, it wasn't there. So unless you saw the episode live last night, or unless you just happened to watch a bootleg version on YouTube, which is not what I'm saying I did, but I mean, if you ain't got no other choice and no other options, I mean, I don't know what they want you to do, okay? So I'm gonna need y'all to fix that little glitch in the system that y'all got going on down to the own. Thank you very much. In case nobody else has let you know, there is a glitch with that. Can't go back and watch the episode, okay? All right, so let's get into it. It's the next day after the, face off of Winter and Kevin for the very first time in 9 months, okay? And everybody is recapping this. It's the morning afterwards. And so, Chris feels like Kevin coming actually brought everybody together, which is kind of weird, but it's the truth. So they all get IV therapy and they play a game called the That's So You game. If this is the same game that I think it is, I know the actual person that started this game. And to see this come full circle um for the creator is an amazing thing. But of course, the game turns to the topic of the SEX. Okay. Um, so that was very like, I was like, okay, I feel like we have talked about the SEX on on this show every single episode. Okay. Anyway, as they are doing the talking about the sexual relations and things like that. And see, this is probably why I mean, I feel like as a couple, I mean, keep some of that stuff to yourself. And I know, people, I don't know. I feel like when I'm hanging out with my friends, that's not really the topic of conversation that comes up amongst anybody's, but that's just me. However, since it does come up, Quick get to talking a little too much. Okay. Quick get to talking just a wee bit too much. Okay. And so that's where it goes off the rails because in some kind of way, he reveals that when they first got together, that he cheated on her. So apparently she had cheated first, but that was about 19 at the time. To me, don't none of this even count. I feel like if you 19, I mean, ain't you supposed to mess up? Ain't you supposed to be, not quite sure what you're doing wrong or what you're doing right? I don't know. I feel like if you're about 19, that's probably the time that you're gonna make some mistakes. So I mean, given that this was I don't know how many years ago, I just kind of feel like why are we talking about this? Why we even got to go back there? Because it really doesn't amount to anything today. I mean, I can only say what it means to me as a viewer. I cannot say what it means to Ashley and to Quick, who may still be harboring some type of feelings about the get back or the whatever. Okay. But what I can say is from a viewer's perspective, I mean, this was something that happened umpteen years ago. And the fact of the matter is, when they first told the story, it was confusing AF. I really didn't get it because it took Monique explaining it later in dialogue with Chris to really for me to really understand what had happened. And we're going to get there in 1 second. But right now, what we're getting is in the moment, they were in a situationship, according to Ashley. And she ended up texting somebody else. And so she's annoyed that Quick is now telling this story about him allegedly cheating on her. But she feels like they weren't even together during that time anyway. They were just talking. He feels, and she's also surprised because she apparently did not know about this instance. So it was like one of those instances where I kind of feel like I get it. Listen, you know, I think that something happened. Maybe it was offensive when Winter called him DJ Fun Size, because I feel like over the course of the episodes, we've gotten a lot of Quick, kind of talking about his manhood. And I get it. Listen, if you're proud of the dong, be proud of the dong. If it's this big, if it's this big, yes, more power to you. Okay. But I feel like in doing that and in having that extended conversation about that, I feel like he actually kind of maybe slipped up and went a little bit too far with the you know what I'm saying? Like with the big talk. And I was just like, I don't even think you need to do that. I mean, because ultimately, you are a very successful DJ. You got a wife who loves you. You have a thriving career. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. To me, that's all you need. You got everything that you want in life. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like this was one of those situations where he was doing a little bit too much talking and he got himself in trouble. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like, that was pretty much the downfall. And this situation to me, what I do like about these couples and these shows is I don't really feel like cheating or outside, babies or anything like that is going to be the focus for these couples right here. Because when you see them and meet them in real life, I mean, you could tell all of these couples are actually couples that really love each other. Um, And they may have their issues. Don't get me wrong, because no marriage is perfect. But ultimately, I just kind of felt like this was a non-issue, to be quite truthful. All right. So she's mad. The couples then get ready for another couples night event where they're going to be dressed up as famous couples. Okay. And so, Monique and Chris go as Lil Kim and Biggie. Okay. Quick and Ashley are going to go as Ike and Tina. Jamie and Arena are going to go as Jay-Z and Beyonce. Tasha and Neil go as Erica Badu and Andre 3000. And Winter don't have a costume, so she shows up as Yolanda Adams. Well, at least that's what they named her because she got the singing at the end of the last episode or whatever. Okay. So as Yolanda Adams comes on in, she takes a seat and whatever. But before that, everybody was talking about the Quick and Ashley situation and, um, how shocking that was. And even Monique said it in her confessional, or I think to Chris, like, nobody asked for that story. That was a story that Quick was talking about that didn't even need to be told. Okay. Leave it in the past, my brother. Don't bring up things that you don't even need to talk about because she ain't even concerned about it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to just zip it. Okay. Meanwhile, however, he gonna make up for it later. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, in the moment, that would have been my advice to him as well. Stop talking, okay? And I don't even know if anybody was drunk yet. I don't know. I can't even call it, but whatever. All right, so they all get together to play no, they already played the That's So You game. They're doing this thing where I guess Ashley and Quick are hosting like a sort of couples question and answer session. And the question that they all ask is, if you met your spouse today, would you still marry them? So, just to be real with you guys, if somebody asks you, if you met your spouse today, would you still marry them? In my mind, the only correct answer is yes. Period. Dot. Okay? Period. Dot. If you want to stay in a happy marriage, I just feel like just say yes. Okay? To me, the fallout from saying anything else is just not worth it. Okay? It is just not worth it. Do you want to live a happy life or not? For real. Because if you say anything other than yes, your spouse is going to be angry. Okay? They're going to be angry. And that's just, but I can't be mad at the people for saying anything otherwise because that's their truth. But for me, okay, the only answer is yes. Okay. If you fix your mouth to say anything else, we got a problem. Okay. So, in the spirit of keeping the marriage fun and stress-free, okay, you just answer yes. Okay, that is the only answer that you should say. That's the only answer that should automatically come out of your mouth. That's the only answer that you should be thinking. Period. Dot. Okay. But oh no, not for this group. So Chris says, well, Monique can be difficult. She can be demanding. She can be controlling. But you know what? I would have it no other way. I would do it 10 times over. And I never felt like that about anybody else. Not even my college sweetheart who I was in love and who I thought I was in love with at one point in time. Okay. Now, I added in that last part for effect. But that was the road that he was driving down. And in my mind, I was like, "Oh, Chris, wrong road. You started out, I was shaky. Then you cleaned it up. Then you took it on down again." And I was just like, Abort, abort. Sometimes you just got to stop talking. That's just my thought. Okay. Now, Lady Lucci, you a brave soul. Okay. You are a brave soul, and I commends you. I commend everybody on the screen, to be very honest with you, because I felt like they gave their truth. However, okay, what is more important? Okay. Do you want to see your spouse be happy and go to sleep beside your spouse being pleased with you and your efforts? Okay. Or do you tell the truth that you really wouldn't marry them again? Woo. This was a slippery slope, y'all. It was a slippery slope for me. Okay. So Lady Lucci, I salute you. Okay. I salute you. Right, Tracy, to tell the truth or to be happy. That's the real question here. Because I don't know why would you say anything otherwise. Meanwhile, Monique is like, don't nobody want to hear that. She is annoyed that he didn't brought up the high school sweetheart. Don't nobody want to hear you talking about nobody else. Okay. Don't want to be compared to nobody from your past. Okay. Don't do it. Oh God. And I just knew. I said, "Oh Lord, here we go." So Monique, when it gets to her turn to answer, I said, "Oh Lord, Monique, no." Monique says, "Well, to be honest with you, I feel like the marital contract complicated things, and she wishes like they had just stayed, left it at sort of like being together as a couple, in the spiritual realm of things, because for whatever reason, the marital contract made things less fun, and you can see Chris' feelings are hurt by this. Now, I ain't gonna lie, my feelings would be hurt too, to be quite honest with you. Okay. I just gotta keep it all the way 100 in this moment. That I would be like, wet. 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 Lord, no, 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 no. I just feel like the only correct answer is I would do it absolutely again. Do you want to do it? Let's do it today. I would get married to you again today. Okay. Period. Dot. But I'm trying to understand Monique's rationale, because that was surprising to me. Because in my mind, I need to know, I need to know what it is that there's a deeper thing here that I don't think we as an audience can plainly see that has happened psychologically, maybe in the marriage, for her to feel that way. And the only thing I can attribute it to, which she'll talk about later, is not feeling like she is measuring up to some standard or worthy enough in the relationship. And as a viewer of Potomac and of Love and Marriage DC, it made me wonder if maybe, I know that at some points there was friction with the mother-in-law. It made me wonder if that had something to do with Monique feeling in some way, shape, or form like throughout the marriage she had to prove herself to him based on the previous thoughts that we found or that we gleaned from the mother-in-law when we were watching and first introduced to the Samuels on the Real House of Potomac. So to me, I'm like, is that where this comes from? Because it's something that I think as the audience, we can't see quite yet. the camera hasn't captured quite yet, but it is happening and we don't know what it is. That's how I feel. But I don't know. Jamie and Arena give the right answers. They would do it all over again. Okay. Arena then says, what you see with their marriage is not all for show or whatever. Um, there was a question. We'll talk about it. I think we'll talk about it next week when we get to the reunion. We'll dive into more about their relationship specifically. Because Carlos asked a very uh Carlos was asking real questions for the reunion, and I was like, whoa, like this is gonna be deep. Meanwhile, Ashley, when asked the question, she says no. Okay. She feels like she spent the last 20 years of her life helping raise a man and trying to teach him how to love and be a husband. I said, well, Lord. Now, in this moment, I felt like Ashley probably had more of a reason to say what she said because she was still upset about what had happened earlier. So I do feel like this was residual angst, but I also feel like it was her truth, right? So Quick says that he would definitely do it again unconditionally because she is right. She did help him become the better man, the better husband. And so I appreciated that. I also appreciated that he didn't get angry with her in that moment and try to get back at her or nothing like that. He let it ride. And I felt like that was the smartest thing he could do in that moment because Ashley's story throughout this season has really been about finding Ashley again. And her answer speaks to this idea that this is my frustration. I have helped raise a man and teach a husband how to love, but I've lost me in the process. Amazing, right? So anyway, um the all the couples leave. We don't see them leave, but we know they leave because the next time we see them, we see Monique and Chris taking the kids horseback riding, and they recaps the weekend. And she talks about her feelings being hurt by Chris mentioning the ex sweetheart or whatever. I personally feel like I get what Chris was trying to say. I just know that it was the wrong road, right? I felt like his answer was well intentioned, but he just kept driving off. You know how like you see a warning sign that says dead end, but for whatever reason you keep driving. I feel like that's what Chris did that day. He just kept driving. The sign say dead end. Go turn around. Okay. No, I'm gonna just see how far this road goes. And so she was still hurt by that. All right. Um, and when he asked her again if she would marry him, if he asked her right now, she says she doesn't know at this point, if she would marry him if he asked her right now, because she feels like she was disrespected by him bringing up his ex, and she doesn't want to be compared to anyone, even though he had only one other relationship to compare it to, which is why I felt like he was well intentioned, right? Um, so I can see both sides of it, but I do feel like I think he was just saying, I only had one other situation in my life to measure, this feeling to, and being with you tops anything else that I've ever experienced in terms of a long-term relationship. That's what I felt in my spirit, like he was saying, but it did not work well. Okay. But that's when she confesses to him that in the relationship, she's always trying to prove her value and her worth. And I was like, that's the part that I felt like I did not know where that came from. I need to know where that feeling comes from because it started somewhere. I just don't know where it started. So why Coco I say most men keep driving? Oh God. So anyway, apparently late in the night, in the heat of the night, Jamie and Arena finds out that their son, Lil Jamie, has a court date from a past incident, uh, for I think a charge, some charges, 9 charges, okay, for weapons and the narcotics. Now, so now they got to go to court the very next day. Now, they advise him that he needs to feed the judge all the positive things that he's been doing over the past, I guess several months. And we learned that he could face 5 to 25 years. Now, Arena then reveals that her father was, I'm putting these terms together, but basically that her father was a man in the streets. He was abusive to her mom, and that he died in prison, and she couldn't even have a funeral for him. So there's still some unresolved feelings with Arena and her father. And I do feel like in season 2, we need to really dive into Arena and her personal journey and her backstory in some type of therapy situation. I'm not saying that the woman need therapy, but I'm just saying it would be interesting to walk backwards in her life to understand some of the things that I think that people have been seeing on the screen from her, so we can really get a better idea of her perspective on things. You know what I'm saying? Um Hold on for a second. I got to delete somebody out this chat because I don't know what they're doing. It's like some spam or something. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay. Anyway, so the case with the son ends up getting moved to the circuit court with felony and misdemeanor charges. So the goal is to keep his record clean and on a successful trajectory. But again, the reason I took away points, and I probably should not take away points from this episode for this, but we didn't get any resolve from that. So perhaps this is still something that's ongoing, and we will find out more about what happens with this in season 2. Because what um I don't know what's happened with that situation. Even when I have spoken with them in person, I did not know about this. And then when I did meet Lil Jamie in person, I didn't know about it then. So it wasn't like I was gonna sit, and that's not something that you just ask somebody when you run into them. Like, tell them about them charges. You're not gonna say that. So I have no idea what's going on with that. I mean, I hope he's able to avoid any, jail time or anything like that, and he's able to move forward. But we don't have any follow-up with that. So I'm hoping that we get some of that in season 2, right? All right. The rest of the episode is really about Ashley's book release party. We hear Monique's song playing in the background, which was nice. Winter is just happy she got an invite to the party. Um, you know, I think Chris said something about him and Monique barely speaking at this point, but I could not tell because, I had to watch the episode via, a YouTube video, which I cannot contribute to ratings because it was not on the YouTube TV or the Hulu. Okay. So I'm missing parts. Meanwhile, Ashley and Winter have a little moment where Ashley tries to say that they can be, almost friends. Something similar to that. And we learned that Quick has a surprise for Ashley that he's told the guys. Now, Jamie and Arena goes to creep off into the bathroom for a quickie. And I'm wondering to myself, was that the only bathroom there? I hope not. Because when you at a party, the last thing you feel like doing is waiting in line for the bathroom. Anyway, everybody toasts to Ashley releasing her book, and then she gives a speech. She unveils the cover. And we learned that it's like a hybrid between a book and a self-rediscovery journal. Quick then gets on stage and mentions something that, that it's I didn't really like the way Quick did this, because I felt like he made it seem like she was complaining about the way he proposed, where they got married. I felt like he should have just said, you know what, my wife has been deserving of this opportunity. And I know she has spoken to me about it in the past. But he kind of made it seem like, and I think that's just his way of joking around. But I also feel like, you know, you don't want to make your spouse seem like they are nagging you or complaining about something. Just do the thing that you need to do. Get down on your knee, okay, and propose to her with a new ring. Take her someplace nice and have Tank sing for her like you did, okay? Um, so the show ended very well. I felt like there were only a couple of loose ends. I felt like as a viewer, and I'm only speaking as a viewer because but there are things that I know in real life. Um, but I think as a viewer, we didn't get a follow up to Chris and Monique's, you know, sort of they were still tense the last time we saw them in the scene. In real life, I know that they're just fine, but I'm just saying in the scene, how was it resolved? How did they resolve this matter? Um, and then for the reunion, we know that things are going to get very tense between Winter and I think the Tylers and the Silvas. But we ended on such a good note. How did things go from bad to, I mean, from good to not so good? I need to know that. I felt like Carlos is asking the tough questions. As I look and I see some of the comments that you guys are making, I think that he's going to be asking questions that a lot of you guys have been commenting on, with regards to both Chris and Monique's relationship, as well as um, some questions for Jamie and Arena, and some questions for Ashley and Quick, and then some questions for Winter as well. But here's the thing. I'm sorry, my ear is itching me. I think that this is a show where you have some very very strong um uh ladies. You have some very very strong-willed ladies, some very strong, personalities, and the dynamics are very different than what we see on Huntsville. So it'll be interesting to see how this reunion plays out. And I will be interested to see who is in the lineup for season 2. Hopefully, everybody comes back with Winter as a full-time cast member as well, because I feel like she added a lot to the show. And I will be interested to see how the ladies and the men respond to some of the questions that Carlos King is putting out there, because I do feel like, based on the comments that I'm seeing in the chat, he's hitting them with the questions that the audience really wants to know. So with that being said, y'all, that is my review for Love and Marriage DC, um episode 10. I enjoyed it. I thought that this was a very interesting in-depth analysis of marriage, and it's again a very different show from Love and Marriage Huntsville, but I felt like it's equally as deep on a lot of different levels. We got some great things to do and not to do. When someone asks you, would you marry your spouse all over again? The only answer is yes. Okay. Now, with that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video. And I'm going to go get, my life together, because I am still of the hungover. Okay. Y'all know I love you, and I will catch you in the next video.